Marketing is a means to an end. And the end is the growth of the business in a profitable way.
We have 5 new pieces of creative. And so I said, what if we did this?
No bidding strategy is going to cure a bad business model.
Very true. This is where it's really crazy. We're live.
We are live, and I'm changing locations. I was out in the woods, John, but now I'm back inside.
I mean, closer to the router.
Closer to the router. That's it. So I'm going to turn my camera off here. People don't need to see me walking around the house. Anyway,
funny is we became wireless, but not really. We just have to still be, whether we're attached to the wire, to the modem. Now we're just attached by wireless, but we still have to be close to the router. I don't know.
It's true. It's true. It's kind of
I think
a tragedy.
Some scam that the communication companies are playing with us.
I think it is. It is. Somebody's always playing a joke on you, really. I mean, in life. So
that's true.
Yeah. Oh, we had connectivity issues last week, actually. So yeah, this is sort of a recurring theme here. But no, I think we're actually good. The audio seems all right. See, it's not quite as picturesque. See, I had the trees in the background before. Now it's just like the wood.
That's right. I mean, I'm in a back cave, so it looks nicer than I am.
Oh, it's in the cozy cabin here up in the woods. They'll have to come up sometime with the wife.
That would be amazing. I love the woods. I've grew up in the woods. And so I love basically everything about, the outdoors is that's my home. I love it.
Yeah. You'd fit right in up here in the main culture because my next door neighbor owns an AR. Like he goes out he goes out in the woods, he just starts shooting it.
Man after my own heart.
I know. You and him would be best buddies.
I know, right?
Oh my God, it's so true. No, but that's the main culture. There's actually a berm down the street. As you turn in, like this is a dirt road that we live on. At the end of the dirt road, and we've got conservation area. So we are in the woods. But on the dirt road coming in, there's a berm. You take a left, and there's a berm where. That's where everyone takes their guns out, and so we hear the gunshots. If the wind is blowing the right way, it's comical. I'm like, oh, that sounds like an AR. Wow.
You're picking it up, and you're like, yeah, I know that sound now.
It's a howitzer.
Pretty much.
Oh my God. All right. Well, today we're going to be howitzering numbers, I believe.
Yes. Yep, we are going to go through the document that we use to manage most clients and also our own internal companies. And it's actually it's exciting. It's a really, really nice document. It is something that everyone should be able to understand, at least from a metric point of view, like what we're counting and why. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think that we're going to have some good insights, a lot of learning opportunity today. And when I say, phrases like, in platform metrics doesn't matter, like this is something that covers that. And that's what we're going to be even discussing as to like, why would I make that statement? Because that is a very controversial statement. It is contrarian to why you even do digital marketing. Like, well, we only do digital marketing because we can track everything. And while yes, what you track matters. That part is extremely important. So I think that that's something that we'll be able to kind of dive deep into today.
Yeah. And you refer to it as the Adflow Funnel. Is that the name of it, or is there a different name?
No, we call it the Adflow Funnel just because I don't know if we really had like a name to call it before.
Kind of like that spreadsheet thingy.
Yeah. I actually am not I'm not a great marketer. I'm really good at traffic driving and data analytics, but what to call it, I don't know.
By the way, you did actually name our tag phrase for marketing, by the way. Metrics that matter, growth that scales. That came from you.
That's true. Yeah. And you know where that came from?
I know. The old friend, the chat.
Yes, sir. Me and Grok are like this.
Yeah, that's good.
I've been using Grok actually a lot more for creative, and it's cool. Grok does like role play for fun, and not the weird role play for all you sickos out there. The role play is more from like, you're my creative director. This is my website. I need you to do, and it'll be like, okay, here's what I think, and here's the target demographic, and here's the ads, and here's the hooks, and here's the offers, it'll do a whole marketing plan for you to build off of. Please, for the love of God, do not copy paste that, send to your boss. You should be fired. Right. But it helps you on the right track, and it does a lot of the creative heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, one of our growth straight, we have an AI call every week, and it's at a sort of an odd time, and some people can't make it, but it's a time when we've got 50 some odd people in the company, and each person has a role of being able to present whatever they're doing using AI. And one of our growth strategists did one specifically yesterday on using prompts. He used primarily ChatGPT, but I think he actually used Grok as well, and doing a customer research document. And it wasn't in his final form, but it got so good. We actually did it live. He created ads based on it. He's like, do 7 ads for this particular brand, and it spit out the copy was so good because it was just pulling from everything that they had just culled from their entire database. This was another brand. So it's like there's so much stuff that is just cutting edge. We should probably just do a show one week on like all the cool things you're doing with AI, because I know you're doing a lot more stuff than what we ever talk about. But it's the future. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, am I stating the obvious? Am I kind of stating the obvious? Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
It is very true.
Well, let's get into it. Obviously, drop your comments and questions in the chat there. We'll get to those hopefully at the top of the hour if we stay on track here. And yeah, let's get into it.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to be sharing screen here. Do this here.
I'm going to redo my lighting here because I did last minute change. I'll just be off camera for a second.
All good. Let's do this here. I don't know why this thing isn't sharing. There we go. All right. Now I got it. Now I know how to work a computer. Okay. So this is what we call the Adflow Funnel document. What this is actually tracking is all of our marketing spend and all of the ways that people can purchase from us through email, through our website, through Amazon, through our subscription model. All of that, basically all the cash in and all the cash out is identified in this document, tracked against a top line metric, and measured week over week.
Great.
So what we'll see here is we have history back to July 21st of 2024, all the way to August 10th, which is a week before last, because we haven't updated for last week just yet. But this is the document, or this is all of last week. And what we look at are identifying kind of like MMM trends and patterns. And what MMM trends and patterns are is a multimedia mix modeling. Multimedia is one word, multimedia mix modeling, which is how much money are we spending on what channel? Yep. And we actually don't even include that here. This is all of our spend across all channels. So it just is a total top line spend. And what we then do is break down underneath, like the stuff that is happening on Amazon versus what is happening through Recharge, what's happening on Shopify. We actually don't care what channel it is spent on, because what we're looking at is in our optimization, we say, okay, I think we should use Meta and Google, and we should spend, X amount more dollars this week. And then if we do both, we then analyze what happens. And if we then take away one channel, or we start to reduce on another channel, because we see in platform, those metrics look worse, that is a early indicator that maybe that channel is not working well. So that's where we like to pull back. So the in platform isn't this is what happened. The in platform is, this is where we're spending the money. And if those in-platform metrics do not look directionally accurate, then we look at the top line and say, yes, that did help, or yes, it did hurt. So what we look at, and I'll kind of go through a more recent example. We have actually gone from the 25th week of this month, which is June 15th, and we have gone through August 10th of 2025. So about 2 months time period here, 8 weeks. So we got 4 weeks here, 5 weeks there, plus last week. So 9 weeks, basically, we're looking at month over month.
Yep.
So, and we can even just take like these time periods here. Now, the reason why I'm highlighting these time periods here is because when you're not tracking all of your metrics, you're going to get thrown off by metrics that are minuscule and may not tell you the full story. For an example, you see here CPA. Yeah. CPA is simply just the cost per acquisition. And this is all spend and divided by all sales. Very, very simple. Right. So what we're looking at, and this is why I love this fact, because these metrics mimic what Google and mimic what Meta does, which is if I have existing customers mixed in with my new customers, that is all here. So as we take our spend from 37,000 and get 2,100 and go up to 100,000 and get 2,500, you say, John, you went from 30K to 100K. So you added $70,000, which is actually more than a 2x in your spend. 30 times 2 is 60. So more than 2 times.
Yeah.
But your sales didn't go from 2,100 to 4,200. That isn't working. That's typically what we hear.
Yes.
You spend more and you double the spend. Why didn't the revenue double? Now,
right.
And that is also looking at here. That is your CPA. Yes, our CPA on the 25th week of the year was at 18 when we're spending 37,000. Now, when we went up to 102,000, your CPA went to 40. Doubled. So you mean you tripled your spend and doubled your CPA? That's true. We did. We went from an $18 CPA to a 21 to 30 to 35 to 36 to 39 to 40. Oh, it's getting worse. Look, it just keeps getting worse as you go from 30 grand to 40 grand to 60 grand to 80 grand to 90 grand. Nothing's working is typically what people hear. Every dollar you put in, your CPA goes up. Nothing may be happening. That's because we're blending everything together. That is the area that most marketers and most businesses are in today. I add X percent in spend. I should see X percent in sales.
Right.
Maybe not. Do you have subscribers? We do. So those people are unaffected. The existing customers will not grow.
Yeah,
we can only grow new. So when we look at this and say, okay, now here's the other portion of this story is, yes, we did go from 37. I'll just do these time periods here. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll just do 2 months. We went from 30 grand to 98 or 37 to 98. Let's call it 30 to 100 or 40 to 100. Okay. So we more than doubled our budget. Yep. Let's look at the metrics that matter. Hey, look at that. That is our cost per acquired first-time customer. So what you'll see is I've highlighted in the area here. These are the weeks that I've highlighted. And this is the cost per acquired first-time customer. Yep. So I can then say at 30 grand, we pay $250 for cost of acquired new customer, which is this column right. Come on, you little bastard. There you go. That's the column right here. Yep. So this is the column I want to take a focus on. So it went from 250, and then where did we end?
238.
So we're $12 cheaper for a new customer. That seems good. If I could triple my spend and buy the same amount of new customers at the same cost, that's a free customer to us. So now the question is, we didn't double our spend and double our CPA. We doubled our spend and doubled our new customers at the same cost. And we were happy with the cost at 250. We're happy with anything under 300. So if our $300 NCAC target or ceiling, not target, ceiling, target should be like $1, but our NCAC ceiling, which we cannot bounce, we can't blow through. We can bounce off, but we cannot blow through. If we go above 300, we're not profitable. So now the question went from you doubled your spend, you doubled your CPA. But the truth is I doubled my spend, I doubled my new customers at profit. So the question you normally would be asking inside of a meeting with a digital ad agency is, we got to reduce spend. It's not working. The questions we're having to us now is, how many more free customers do we want? There's a big paradigm shift. You want 1 million more free customers? Sure. We're on track to get there. Versus if we're looking at CPA or in platform metrics, it's not working. So that's why measuring what is working well matters. Now, watch this. Media efficiency ratio. We have ceilings and targets on our media efficiency ratio. And we have them in 2 different ways. Right. One is our media efficiency ratio for the company. That is hard to see. Just make it do black. Maybe that'll work better.
Goes from 2.12 to about 1.83.
Yeah. So, okay, there we go. Yep. So our media efficiency ratio here is at a 4x, and it went down to a 1.91 during these date ranges. Now that again looks really terrible. MER is dropping when you add in ad spend, unless you have a fixed group of users called subscribers that will always pay you the same amount of money every day, whether you shut off your ads or not. So those people
hopefully
are always
if your product is good.
Right.
we're assuming that, but anyway,
Yeah.
as we said before, that is not necessarily the
it's-
case, but it is the case.
Exactly.
Here, so.
Exactly. And it's a lot of case for a lot of subscribers. Like if you have a subscription service, you're not like, I didn't see 3 ads today, I'm canceling that bitch. That doesn't happen that way. You know, you're going to get the products that you need.
Well, we did work on a customer that their client retention was 2 months. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah.
In the supplement space. So
yes. Now that
anyway.
is that's a business problem, not a traffic
problem. Not a John Moran problem. That is you need to reformulate your stuff.
You fix that before you go from 30K and spend to 100K and spend.
I'm just stating the obvious.
Yes.
I like to state the obvious, but people forget that part. Anyway, keep going. I love
exactly. So we measure them differently. We have a 408 media efficiency ratio with subscribers, but if we do not count those subscribers, we count how our ads are performing outside of the people who are normally paying us money anyway. That's actually here. And look at the delta between the two. With subscribers, we're over a 4. Without subscribers, we're 2.5. Now we have a target or a ceiling. I guess I would say a floor in this sense. MER, we have a floor. We can bounce off the floor. We cannot blow through the floor, because if we go past our NCAC, we're going to blow through our floor. Those two are inversely related.
Right.
So as we scale up,
and our floor here for MER is what again?
I'll explain that. Yep.
Oh, you're building up to something.
I'm
okay.
It's getting exciting. As we add in ad spend, yeah, right. As we add in ad spend, we're going to say our MER can't go below 1.5, and our MER-Subs can't go below 1. That's where our happy zone is. That if it goes below those, it's cap call time. It's capital investment into the company to make up revenue that we didn't make. Yep. So we see here that we are able to stop at a 1.91 or a 1.84 and a 1.3 or 1.34. So we stopped there. So we're at 100K per week in spend, and we're still profitable, and we're still stacking on new customers. Well, how many new customers? That's what we can see here in the Adflow funnels. Is we can see that our new customers, each time that we have a new customer here, where is our new customer? Oh, wait, I think we actually took that one out. It used to be right here. We actually took that one out. We are rebuilding up. The sales new customers is here now. So this is the area that the new customers are in. So let me recorrelate that to the top line. My apologies. I lost my place for a minute. And there we go. These areas here during that part, we see new customers going from 144 up to actually, let me just draw on the map or draw on the screen, because I don't know if it's really easy for everyone to see. We're looking at these metrics here. Yep. So as our spend goes up, we already know left to right, 30 to 100K. Our new customers are going from 144 up to 166, up to 266, up to 341, up to 438, up to 436. Beautiful. Yeah. So we went from getting 150 new customers each week to 436 new customers each week. Yeah. Now, with a subscription model or without a subscription model, or even with a lead generation model, this all is the same. It's all exactly the same. There do have different targets, but it's exactly the same. I get, let's say cost per new lead, cost per new deal. Cost per new deal is what? A cost per new customer. Yay. It doesn't matter. E-commerce or lead gen does not matter. You can still use this for every single business. Yeah. What's nice about this is as we buy 436 new customers per week, and we kind of hold 400 customers a week, and we're reaching stasis there, we can see that up at the top, as we hold our ad spend between 96, 98, 98, 102, our new customers are still coming in at 436, 400, 407, 422. Beautiful. And at a cost we can't afford at 238, 244, 219. Beautiful. We're in the money essentially. Yes. Now, last thing I want to share before I pause is the reason why it's amazing to track this is there was a time recently in the past, and we're going to go to last year, where we attempted to do this again, and we actually faltered and failed, and we blew through what we call our floors. And our floor back then, when we were scaling up, you can see here that we hit that 1.5, and we stuck there. So we were going from basically a 50K in spend up to 100K in spend in this date range of November to December. Same scale, going from 40 to 100, going to 50 to 100. Now we went from 50 to 100 and went from a 2 to a 1.5. So how come we could, back then we couldn't scale? I couldn't go from 50 to 100 without hitting that floor and we bouncing off of it. But attempting that same scale again, 6 months, 7 months later, we were able to go from 30 to 100, and we're at a 4 down to 1.85. We're still 35 basis points above where our floor would be. Why?
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's our MER. We've stacked new customers since then. Since back 6 months ago, we've been stacking new customers every single week that turn into subscribers, that turn into top line revenue that we don't have to market for or try for or even pay. Keyword, do not pay for your existing subscribers over and over again. Standard purchase events, Meta, Google, Advantage Plus, and PMax. So because we're not counting and we're not paying against those people, as our existing customers rise, our fixed revenue per day rises. What that looks like is this. If we look at our marketing, they're not marketing. Oh no. I think it's going to reset. It might just keep bouncing around. So if this thing keeps resetting, no, we're good. So we woke up today before turning on an ad. We woke up, stretched, look at our phone, and we made $14,000 already. What's our MER when you spend $1 and make $14,000? It's like 14 million MER. Right. Cool. So now we get to start to spend, and the level that we spend that day takes that 1 million MER and drops it all the way down to 1.85. Because we are starting with more revenue and with our subscribers, it means we can afford to spend more because we have more money that we pre-made that day. Your revenue that is growing is continuously growing, allowing you to have higher and higher MER by not doing anything. And then that allows you to have a 37K in spend and make 150. Back then when we had 30K in spend, or 50K in spend, we had 94. So it went from 50 to 94. And now we're looking at 30 and 150. Well, where did that additional 60 grand come from? Our subscribers. Each week, 7 days, $10,000 a day times 7 days, 70 grand. That week, we're 70K higher in revenue even before we spend $1. So this technically can look at $1 and $70,000 here. That's what that technically could look at that day of the start of that week. So now our MER is 70,000. So we start with a 70,000 MER, we add in some ad spend, and we tack on more new customers that push up that MER ratio, that push the top line up. And look at that, our MER is holding. So we're up leveling ourselves each row. Now, could you do that with CPA? Shit, no. CPA is not going to tell you that. People that are focusing on CPA and ROAS are looking at one level of this entire document. And this is where it's like, well, my ROAS, it's like, yes, but what about the other, I don't know how many more lines are in this thing? What about the other 234 lines of data? Like, what does that say? Right. It's so important to understand the complexity of your company like a CFO, because if you're going to make ad spend dollar decisions, you need to make ad spend dollar relations. We have to understand how it's correlated. And you have to understand your targets, your ceilings, your floors. And as you can up level yourself, people are like, well, you have big campaigns and you're scaling up, $60,000. Yes, but I've done the work to know that I could do that without stressing. I can go to sleep at night with another 70K in spend, knowing I'm perfect. Like, we are happy, healthy. We're good. So pause there.
Back a year ago, when you were not scaling, you were just acquiring new customers back a year ago. Could you differentiate? Now we obviously know, we're using Cappy imports, obviously, in this particular client. Like, you didn't have visibility into NCAC versus RCAC, or did you? Like, how did, this time a year ago, it just seems like you're investing into the future because you have, maybe there's a stockpile of cash, maybe there's funding, maybe there's whatever it is, but you're really investing into the future. But did you have the visibility at that point? Because I'm trying to remember back in this account, did you have the ability to be able to look at what the NCAC was with a high degree of certainty?
Yes. The problem is our ad spend did not actually move the new customers at all. So we would take our ad spend from 50K to 70K, and our CPA would stay the same. Right. Why? Because we're just buying our existing customers again and again and again. Yeah. This is what this scenario here is what most people are in, right. Which is, okay, I'm going from 50K going to 70K. My CPA looks like it's holding. Wow, we must be amazing. But my cost per acquired first-time customer went from 216, now it's up to 300. Wait, what the hell? Because when I say, hey, when you're scaling and your CPA is good, you're probably attributing existing customers back to yourself. Yeah, yes, of course. That's exactly what happened. This is all the way up into October. Now, if you look at the graph here, there was something that happened right here on December 1st. This is October. This is when we're pushing up double and spend and triple and spend. And it's like, we're eking out a few more. This
still,
is because,
still a good line up until that point. But obviously the point of inflection is in December. It's like, holy crap, something really happened there.
And unfortunately, we're just back at the same stage we were in March. So we're in October. We're like, hey, we're almost as good as where we were 7 months ago, and we're still increasing spend.
Yeah.
So the reason why it's important to see this document here is because as we're increasing ad spend, the CPA was holding, and this was everybody else at that time. This is before I was even part of the company. This is the CPA was looking good, but then it just kept floating here. It was 50K here, it was 50K here, it was 50K here, it was 50K here, and everything just kind of stuck at 50K until this time period here, December 1st. Now,
is that when you came on board?
That's when First Click CAPI Imports came on board.
Ah, that guy. He's a very good employee.
Yes, I love Mr. First Click CAPI Imports. I just call him Cappy for short. He likes it. So that's exactly right. And that is when we started what we call our glutinous campaign. And that was the campaign that is running on Andromeda back in December. So back on December 1st, in this time period here, compared to the previous period, is when we said, hey, let's increase our campaign. Did that actually work right? It doesn't look like it did. Oh yeah, 12-1. Oh yeah. So going from 247 to 440, that's a 77K increase in ad spend. All done in basically, this is two campaigns that were pitting against each other, side by side against each other before we kind of knew what Andromeda was. But you see the per purchase NC come out now. I think it actually started like 2 or 3 days before that. So forgive me if I don't have exactly a date. I just said December 1st, but that's the time period that we started to do the First Click CAPI imports for new customer only. Yeah, so this is $300, so I'm off by a day. So that was when we shoved $491,000 into 2 campaigns, 1 ad set, all creatives, and that launched this year. So Andromeda plus First Click CAPI imports brought us from a 30-50, 30-40-50, 50-40-30, 30-40-50, $60,000 spend into dumping 100K. And then that first month, we saw our subscribers increase from 2,300 to 3,000. So we basically increased the company by like 25% the first month.
Incredible.
Which is why I've been saying this since for the last 8 months, talking about, First Click, CAPI imports, all the stuff that we were kind of talking about now. That also, if you look at basically just the last 312 months, that is this point here. Yeah. So that's when we went from a year-over-year growth of 30 and 23% and 7%. Now year-over-year growth of about 75% and 103% and 108% and 86 and 87. So when I say that, this is what people are typically in is, John, I increased my ad spend. My CPA looks like it's good, or maybe it looks like it's worse. And my MER is going from like a 2 to a 2, and it dips down because I've spent a little bit more and now I got to back down. And that's the same thing that everyone happens. Meta is attributing existing customers. Google is attributing existing customers. This is the time period where what you're spending matters. So this was all figured out 9 months ago. You're all hearing about it, now these last recent months, but it's not that I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. This has been how we've been growing businesses since then, kind of thing. Yeah. So but that's the reason why we can now do what we can do and scale a business, is because it's actually attributing new customers, or it's actually contributing new customers, not attributing my existing subscribers over and over and over again.
Well, I mean, it really goes back to just the ability to be able to separate out your NCACs versus your CAC. Mm-hmm. I mean, without that, without that level of visibility, I sort of feel like we've emerged from this fog with all this stuff that we're talking about here, because we never really knew. And we were relying, like there was a time where you and I were primarily relying on in-platform metrics. Those days are now over.
Like a decade.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't a time. That was like 90% of our digital marketing life.
Yeah, I think back, and ROAS was everything. I was going back through some of my presentations from like Traffic and Conversion Summit, like 2016. It's like everything is ROAS. And then even like in 2019, of course they didn't have it in 2020, but anyway, like ROAS related, like everyone's talking about ROAS. Or I remember the shift from ROI to ROAS. Remember that? Yeah. Like that was like a big shift. Like, oh, return on ad spend. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, to the untrained eye, this seems simple, right? But in actuality, it's actually it's complex because you need to be able to have like that sheet, like the Adflow funnel sheet is like, why wouldn't you have a master sheet on how your media is performing? But so many businesses don't have that, and they are continuously looking in platform and they're wondering why they're not growing. I mean, we must talk to 10 customers a week that's their issue.
I mean,
so
if every single customer I talk to, it's the same exact thing. It's, oh, I add in ad spend, I can't scale. I mean, imagine if everybody could scale, we would be out of a job.
I guess.
No one has figured out like the secret sauce to scale. We figured out an amazing way. It's not the only way, but we figured out an amazing way and proving it with the measurement. Now, there's so much more that this document can actually shed light on. And
unless you had like gross profit in there, like a bunch of the other sorts of things, like I know we want to get to questions here, but like the metrics are actually the biggest part. And obviously, if you don't know any of these metrics or any of these, you can get that over at tier11.org/MPI. I'll put that in the little thingamajiggy that we've got scrolling on the bottom of the screen there, because this is super important. You have numbers here, and you have MER numbers. You have your NCAC number, you have your RCAC number, just for the sake of argument here. But like that comes from actual math of understanding the business. And it seemed like your cost of goods sold was like 30%, something like that, in that range. So you did basically 40. Just did the did the math backwards. Like, how did you actually arrive at those numbers? Does this sheet fully delineate that, or is something different?
No, the COGS plus fees rate is actually like probably within 3%, only because we have like a flagship product that is a Pareto rule. So it's kind of like 80% of our sales are on one product, and then the other 9 products make up the other 20%. So
got it. Okay.
So that's why we're like, okay, if it's like 39.99 or 39.98, or like 40% is fine. But and so there is that profitability built in. That's how we reverse engineered what we're able to get down to in terms of a MER and MER-Subs, and also what our NCAC target is. Our NCAC is actually here as an example. If we look at this just for fun, and we have, let's say we have 11,000 subscribers. So those 11,000 subscribers with an AOV of 76 as an example. So we have, I'll just do this. If I have one person, $76 AOV times 7.06 is 536. So if I'm 536 is
that's your LTV. Right?
My LTV, I'm sorry. Yep. I said AOV. Yep. I meant to say LTV. That's my LTV.
You said AOV, then LTV, but anyway.
Yeah, sorry about that. And I was like, I think I fat lipped that one. Instead of a fat finger. So if I can,
even we mix up the terms sometimes. That's why you need to get the checklist. God damn it.
Right. Anyway, exactly. Keep going. And so here's the thing: is if I look at this last week. So what is my average this last 4 weeks? My average is 235. In an NCAC. So 536 divided by 235. Basically, every year I make 2.28. I double plus a quarter, so 2.28 times my money back. So every new customer that I spend to get $1 within the first 7 months gives me a 2.28. Now, what is that? That is a 128% return on my money in 6 months.
Right.
If I could do that to the stock market, I wouldn't be here. And so imagine increasing your portfolio 128% every 6 months. That's what we're looking at. Okay. That's a
great analogy, by the way, because this is not an ATM here, but it can be if you do it right to a certain degree. You just have to know the numbers.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if your stockbroker's like, hey, buddy, every like $1 million you give me, 6 months later, I'm going to give you $2 million. How much money would you give that person? Right. Unlimited. You would
back
sell
up
your
the truck, John. Yeah.
Right. So, but that, if you look at the metrics that way, I'm backing up the truck. If I'm looking at CPA, I'm backing down the spend. Who wins?
Well, I mean, let's not forget this. You've got a 40% cost of goods sold on that. What was the number again? 528? I didn't write it down.
Yeah,
of your LTV. So 40%. So 60% of that you get to. Well, no, you don't actually get to keep, because do that math. You figured out that number. You figured out your NCAC number based upon LTV, right? You factored in your 40% cost of goods sold.
It's gross, right?
Right. It's gross. But then there's other costs in there. There's operating expenses, of course. There's, you name it. There's selling general administrative. There's also desired profit margin. And then out of that, then you come out with an NCAC. So take us through that sort of backwards. I know we've sort of done this before on this show, but I think this is an important thing to. Absolutely. I love your take on it because you do it slightly differently than I do. So it's great to see you do it. Yep. But basically, it's a math question, really.
Exactly. So here's our gross profit each week. Yep. And the reason why we're measuring gross this way, going from spending 50K and making 12 grand, and then at the end we're spending 100K and getting anywhere between 20 and 25 or 30 grand.
Right.
The reason
gross profit,
why,
just for people, gross total profit, sales minus cost of goods sold, gross profit.
Right. This is before net. The reason why we have this here is because there's a near-term acquisition goal that we're looking to achieve. So because of that near-term acquisition goal that we're looking to achieve, we are ramping up with razor-thin margins as fast as we possibly can. As long as we're not losing a dollar, it's full speed all the time.
Got it. Okay.
And one of the things,
the big goal finds all of these metrics.
Yep. So so that's the goal. And now the way that we're measuring this is when you go through a liquidity event, and let's just say for some reason we want to sell the company, we never know. We want to show, hey, we want to be able to say, hey, even if you don't really spend any money, you're still going to make $2.2 million in just the subscriptions annually. Yeah. That's up 50% this year. Now, how much would a company pay for that if that can continue to go? If your ARR increases by 50% up to 2.2 million and actually that is all year, but that's actually not the case. That's all year. That's before we started doing marketing the fun way. So if we look at the marketing that we're doing with the first click CAPI imports and doing this the proper way, this time period here, we're up almost 70%. So in only the last 9 months, our company has grown its subscribers 70% to 2 million. That is, now watch this. If I say, hey, I'm going to take my ad spend from 90 grand and I'm just going to cut it down to 37. I lose about 20 grand in gross revenue, but my media efficiency ratio goes from a 1.94 and it climbs up to a 4. Why? Because I don't need to spend the money I don't need to spend that money to make that money. So if another company comes in and says, great, we're going to absorb those clients and we're going to kill your ad spend, you're left with $150,000 in gross profitability a week. And before not maybe you take on your own. Exactly. So I don't need to scale this up in terms of, remember, what's the company goal? John, it's not performing well. What's the company goal? I need to scale this thing to the freaking moon and sell it as fast as I can for the most amount of money as possible. Good. Don't make a dollar. Every dollar you make, throw it right back into ad spend. Just make sure you're not losing that dollar.
You're absolutely making my point here.
Exactly.
Because it starts with the goal. Where do you want to go with this? And all you're doing is you're using marketing in order to achieve a business objective. At the end of the day, I love when everybody says that. I say it way too often. In the end, our job as marketers, I'm going to say it differently this time. Our job as marketers, we are a tool that is used in order to grow a business. Correct. And that business, depending on which business it is, has very different goals. You, in this particular case here, are going towards a liquidity event.
Bingo.
Which I would imagine there's a lot of private equity people and or strategic buyers that are out there that would look at that and be like, cha-ching, I'll pay 10x for that. I'll pay 20. I don't even know. I don't even know what the valuation of this model would be. But the point is that becomes very attractive. But the marketing tactics are dictated by the goal of the organization.
Right.
For some people, it might be, hey, I just want to grow 25% a year. I just want to grow. Like, that's all I want to do. I want to make more money. I want to influence more people. I want to get my word out that, whatever it is, whatever my mission is as a business, that's a very different goal.
You know what's funny is like you said, hey, like I just need to grow. Maybe you just need to become more profitable. And sorry, I shared screen. You know what's interesting here is you can see here, even in a 17 week to 25th week, as an example, just going for, so that's it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 weeks. Okay. This, as an example, went from 112K in spend down to 37. Our gross profit went from 8K to $62,000 a week.
Wow.
because you don't need to spend that money to make that money. That money is going to come to you no matter what. So people are like, well, I bid on brand. It's like, this is when you don't bid on brand.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very simplistic. If I stop, and actually I have one branded campaign, it's $100 a day. That's total. That's the entire Google Ads account in this whole company.
Great.
You don't need to.
You don't need to. I'm curious why you did that though. Why did you go from 112 down to 37? That's total ad spend on all platforms, correct?
Yeah, well, it wasn't really. I'm just using an extreme use case. It was actually just from this 1 week period to this other week period, and then we brought it back up in 2 weeks later. So I'm using time frame. We just basically had to we had to reconstruct our campaigns.
Oh, okay. Got it.
We had too many campaigns. We paused a whole bunch. We consolidated down, and then we kept going again. So we learned through Andromeda, too many campaigns equals death. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's just as an example of a restructuring. But let me show one more thing, and then I know we'll get to some questions. I believe this is probably what we're doing here today is the reason why my brain asks weird questions. Like, I'm like, well, the ROAS is bad. I'm like, I don't care. Like, well, why does John say that right here? This is the reason. So I want to go through one more reason. Yeah. This here, if you look at our Amazon revenue right here. So this is all of our Amazon revenue. Now, this is where I'm probably going to get some death threats from a lot of Amazon agencies, and I don't care because I'm coming to expose all of you bad Amazon agencies. Not the good ones,
we talked about these.
Just the bad ones.
Come on.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I said bad. I'm saying bad. Not all of them are bad, but I met a lot of bad ones. We just fired one last week. So this is my pet peeve that people are like, John, you're wrong until I fire them. So yes, it makes sense.
Amazon ads are simple. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, so check this out. We were spending $3,000 to $4,000 a week. Okay. So I'm going to do an average of 4 week. An average 4 week period here. We're spending $3,600. Let's write that down. 3,600. Mm-hmm. So if I do this here and I'm going to not LinkedIn, whatever it is. Anyway, perfect. 3,600 in spend. Mm-hmm. I'm making 42K in revenue.
Yep.
Okay. So this is right here on average. So that's my average 47K. So let's make that 47. Okay. Now let's look at this spend level here. My spend is about 50K a week. Cool. Now let's go to a time period where we're spending a lot more, which is now into the 100K a week. I'm still spending this time. This is the same time period as we just looked at, and that is an average of 38. So it went up. I'm just using round numbers. So 3,800. So I added $200 more. Okay. Mm-hmm. And my weekly revenue is averaging 72. So I went from, I'm so good at Amazon ads that you could put $200 more in spend and make $30,000 more average per week.
Thank you, Meta and Google, Meta primarily.
Okay. And so we said, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right, everybody. How the hell are we spending the same amount of money? And
it's a parlor trick.
$60,000 to $70,000 to $80,000. Whoa! Like it has nothing to do with going from 100 to 112K. That must not be anything. It's honestly. And so we said, you know what? What if we actually just reduce that? And this figure here, you can't see it on the screen, but it says negative 84%. So we said, hey, we're going to take our spend here, and we're going to go from, watch this. Here's our average. The 2 weeks before, $4,000 in spend. Average 1,000. 75% reduction in spend. What happened to our revenue? Our revenue went from 77 to 73. It actually had nothing really to do with it, because what we then ended up doing says, hey, what if we actually start bidding on cold traffic only? So we took our $3,000 and spend here. And we said, well, what if we spent 6 and 9 here? So then we said, let's spend 7,500, not from brand, but from non-brand. So 7,500 then produced an average of $92,000 per week in Amazon revenue. So now with this last little go ahead that we'll look at is average of 7,495. So we have 7,500, we'll just call that. And then we're getting now a 92. Okay, so 92. So basically what we saw is, okay, if we're spending 36 and getting 47, and then going to 38 and getting 72, this obviously doesn't mean anything. So we stopped spending on that and basically saw a 0 and 71,000. Cool, whatever.
That's all brand. 36 and 38, I assume.
All of this is brand right here. Yep.
Right. Brand on Amazon, just so
doesn't
for those of you following along. Yeah.
Actually, it was 80% brand, 20% non-brand, but 20% of the spend was making 80% of the sales because it was, non-brand. So we said, what if we just took that $40,000 a week in spend and crank it up to $7,500 a week in non-brand, and then went from the 71,000 up to 92,000. We added $20,000 more in revenue by taking our 4K and turning it into 7K, but also going from going from branded ad spend to a non-branded ad spend.
Interesting.
So that's what's interesting is we figured this all out with a freaking spreadsheet.
Yeah.
It's actually this simplistic. You can see here there is zero attribution. What ad did it? Yes. What campaign? Well, what ad set? Yes. People learn about a brand over days, weeks, and months. They do not. There's no time period in the history of the world now today with anything over like $100 where it's like, I got a new product. You're like, I'm buying now. I didn't even watch the video. Yeah, that doesn't happen. So
even with this, it's like a 30-day sales cycle, I believe, with this product.
Correct? It's 21 days. Yeah.
21 days. Okay. Got it.
Well, because it's not, I mean, it's a dog immune pill.
Yeah.
We're not
21 days of deliberation and or content in the news feed or something. And then finally I'm like, screw it. I'll just go over to Amazon and buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's like, what's funny is on average, like 21 days, we do see about day 10, we get like the bulk majority, and then like 60 to 70% of our conversions happen by day 10. Then day like 11 through day 30, it's like another 20 or 30 people. So it's probably shorter than that technically, but we're just using data that we have, which is kind of shitty data because it's in platform, of course. But maybe about a 7 to 14 day sales cycle. So
that hurt my ears. What you just did there, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my bad habit.
Crack.
Yeah, like the Kraken.
Oh, dude, that's amazing. You know what's really cool is, and I know we got to get questions here, but it's like you figured out like the non-brand stuff it's creating a tremendous return, and you sort of capped it at like that $9,000 and 92K. I was in the spreadsheet, and
now there's a lot of brand in there. Sorry.
There's a lot of brands still in there. Okay.
Right.
So
yeah, those people are still Googling or still searching us on Amazon, still buying our products. But now we're adding an additional ad spend. For example, if we spend 0, we make 70. If we spend 9,000, we make 100. So we're basically getting a 3x non-brand, which is fairly close to our 2 to 3 MER that we typically see. It's still the same metric.
Right. Right. And then of course Amazon takes their cut. In this particular case, it's what, 18%, 20%. So
I think it's actually 14%. Is fairly small.
Oh, 14. That's actually
they do it off of shelf space. Well, so if you take up a little spot, they charge you less.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. Well, we should get to questions here because we've got 10 minutes. Can we get to like all these questions here?
I don't think so, but we're going to try to blast through as many as we can.
John was talking fast before. Wait until now.
All right.
You want to read them? Should I read them? I never know which. When we have.
If I could read them, actually, if you read it, I'll read it at the same time. If someone tells me something, I can't comprehend it very well.
That's very good for me to know. So I want to know that in the future. Hi, John. On 4 different Google Ad accounts, why does the CPA tend to spike just after 15 conversions on each YouTube-only demand gen campaigns? Attribution issue? Question mark. Thank you. With a love, a heart sign.
Oh, so here's what typically happens with demand gen. This is what we're talking about. Is I call it your site cloud, and this is actually a good illustration for everyone out there. I'm gonna do a quick screen share. This is something I teach. This is the cloud that's on your site. And the cloud that's on your site is all of your existing people who have been to your site, it's still on your site, have been to your site recently. This is all of your site visitors in your like website's cloud. I know, right? It's a little time. It's fun, right? I love this stuff. All right. So now you have Meta over here and you have Google over here. Okay. Right. So it's called demand gen and it's called Meta. You have to spend past your cloud to find cold traffic. What all campaigns will do, demand gen, performance max, and ADV plus, which is why we only focus on new only, because they're going to go into the cloud, which is new and returning users, and they're going to come and bring back whoever wants to buy. Typically your returning users buy faster. That's why you get more returning users. So what ends up happening is you launch a demand gen, it goes into the cloud and it grabs the subset over here that says, hey, I'm probably ready to convert. And we say, great, that's mine. And you get immediately 15 conversions. And then what happens is it goes back to that cloud and says, hey, where's the other ones? I can't see anybody anymore. So what we have to do is have to spend past it, also counting new customer first click only. That keeps it cold. But once you go spend past your cloud and you're going to go find new users, and then those are the people that you bring back, That is typically what happens. So whenever you launch a new ADV Plus campaign, you launch a new Performance Max campaign, you launch a new Demand Gen campaign, those 3 campaign types, you hit the button, boom, sales. And it goes like this, sales, then ramp down, then slow ramp up. What it does is I gathered everybody who's ready to buy and I got them to the site and I got them to buy. Okay, good. Go find more. Oh, give me a minute. I got to go and figure out actually how to find
tired.
Yeah. I robbed your mom. I robbed the lunch money out of her purse. And now you got to go make money. Oh, that's going to take a lot longer, a lot harder. I got to go figure that out. That's exactly what happens with every automated campaign.
Just easy way. Why would they? I mean, it's going to fool a lot of people for a couple of weeks.
It sounds Machiavellian. It sounds really, really bad. Like, why did they build something to go and do that? That's not what happens. Meta and Google will remarket the traffic they bring. But in order to do so, they have to go and tag the people who are on the site in order to remarket them, whether they counted them or whether they generated them or not. So that's where it becomes more remarketing accidentally. And then the people who are on your site that are ready to buy now are most likely your existing customers. So sheer due to the algorithm's nature of going to remarket who they believe they started, they bring back all the people who have been there and are coming back again. And that's why you get the returning customers.
That's all makes complete sense to me. Marco says hello from Italy. Hi.
Hello, Italy. Marco. Oh man, Marco from Italy. It's like, that's cool. Marco Polo.
Marco Polo. You were talking about Machiavelli. Who said they're offering any online training courses? I know you have a community. We never really talk about it.
Yeah, we have a school community. I mean, I don't want to promote the school community here, but I do have some online training courses. Honestly, though, I would say that if staying here, there's a lot of very, very, very similar content. But there's more one-on-ones, Q&As, live help that I just do like with a group of people. There's like 150 people there that we all just kind of, I showcase a lot of stuff, only we then apply it to the companies and they get to ask questions when they do it themselves.
You know what we should do is we should take like all these videos that we've done and then just put them into some kind of AI and turn it into like a course for people. And then
we tried that, but the problem is it grabs stuff from like a year ago. I'm like, that didn't work. That's irrelevant now. I need AI for the last 2 weeks.
It'd have to be like, the last like 3 months on this show. Anyway, all right. Juju says, let's go. He's got his lab coat on. That's great. All right. Awesome.
All right.
Andre SP. I don't know. Hi team for Meta Ecom, 1,000 SKUs. Do you still find value in catalog campaigns? Ooh, that's a good question. I like to do 2 separate campaigns, prospecting, Advantage Plus, and then re-engagement after the add to cart, no purchase. Thanks.
We've actually been stripping those out because that is actually becoming too bottom of the funnel. So Andromeda, if you believe that you are doing prospecting and then another campaign for re-engagement, my question is, are you sure? Have you verified that with actual user data? What we found out is typically that is not the case. So when we go back in from a long time period ago and we start to look at time periods where I did have a high amount of ad spend and a high amount of conversions, where it is this one here, you call it, see, it's called John's list. This thing right here was, it had some of the highest amount of ad spend, 14,000, 19,000, one of the highest amount of conversions. But here's the issue is this is going to the bottom of the funnel, which is where catalog ads go. So if you include a catalog ad in any campaign, everybody from every channel from ever who is ever in your cloud on your site, this will go hunt them down and get them to convert, which means it will spend a lot of money, sometimes even less. But you can see it's a 350 new customer, 216 new customer. This thing spent 14 grand to get 40 new customers. This one 19 grand to get 91. Why? This one right here had 91 and 278. This one has 41 and 160. So this is getting a lot of existing customers and not a lot of new. Why? Meta says that PLA is bottom of the funnel. Who is bottom of the funnel? People ready to buy. Who's ready to buy? People have already bought.
Yep. DPIs. Absolutely. Dynamic ads. Are we using any of that?
Go ahead.
Somebody asked me that the other day on YouTube. Are we using dynamic creative at all in the new Andromeda format that we've talked about so much over the last 2-3 months?
Dynamic creative?
Yeah, where like it supplants, like it swaps in the because you're putting in, upwards of 50 creative and different ads, different. Obviously, we've talked about content diversification, but there is that dynamic creative. Apparently, the answer is no. So
I have not tested. No.
Okay, got it. All right.
I've done AI enhancement, but I have not done dynamic creative. I'm worried about that because yes, it's going to be automated, but typically Meta builds things to say, can I show a cool ad to someone who's ready to go now? I'm wondering, can I introduce new customers to my brand in a very specific way? So those are two different, in my opinion.
Good point. So the answer is no. All right, Meta Girl. Regarding Meta, some of the past lives, do you think the problem is the platform? More and more Meta seems like a sinking ship.
The weird thing about this is I think Meta is almost sort of compartmentalizing each other. Like they're trying to make sure that you can't kill Nike and Nike can't kill you. You guys can both grow evenly, and you guys can, both of you two, the big and the small, will get new customers, get existing customers, and start growing well. But I do believe that it is essentially stopping a lot of the overlap that could happen. Like if it seems like it is just allowing Meta to say you're going to get what you get and you don't complain, and this is your fair share of the industry based on your ad spend and how many people want to buy from you in time, simply because every dollar you put in, 40% goes back to your cloud, which means you're only scaling 60% for every dollar that you put in. Mm-hmm. That, in my opinion, is good for the amateur advertiser. Give me money. I'll give you a sale. You shut up. I'm not going to tell you who's new, who's returning. I'll lie to you and tell you that it's not your existing customers, but I'll give it to you anyway. We proved that before too. Basically, it's like if you're looking at in-platform metrics, we are being brainwashed to figure, hey, everything's okay. But the people who are on these calls here, the smart people, are like, this seems like a sinking ship, because people that are not just measuring by ROAS see the falsities of it. And that's, I believe so. It's the built-in falsity of not being able to scale.
Makes sense. Metagirl has another question. When you show the example where you launch campaigns with ROAS 60%, those are shopping campaigns, right? Don't you launch PMax in that case for e-commerce? I mean, and I need to get my power cord here. Hang on.
Yeah, no worries. So for first click CAPI imports, I no longer use Performance Max. I use standard shopping. I was using Performance Max when I had standard purchase events, because the standard shopping campaign would actually bring in the new cold user for the first click first time. However, because data-driven attribution gives more weight to things that happen more recently or more automated, it favors Performance Max. They actually lie to you about the data. It goes into a demand gen or Performance Max. So the reason why I built feeder strategy isn't to trick you all. It's to help you understand that, yes, it is working. What I mean by this is, check this out. This is why I had to build feeder strategy and why we had to run both of them at the same time. You want to see something egregious? Check this out.
I just love when you use big words like egregious.
Oh, it came from a toilet paper of the day roll that I have in the bathroom. So,
I used to read the dictionary in the bathroom. My wife right? It was very disgusting. But anyway, go ahead.
I dropped it on my metatarsal once, I think. Ow. So watch this. My standard shopping campaign got the first click. It earned 0.01 of the conversion. Why? Because demand gen simply showed an ad to them as an engaged view and stole all the credit.
Right.
This is why feeder strategy exists. Do you think demand gen can do this on their own? No, they remarket to your cloud. Ta-da! Where did they come from? This campaign. This one's feeding this one. But if most people measure by in-app ROAS, so they say, John, it's not working. Well, yes, if it only gives you 0.01, nothing will ever work. Why then? Right. Why the low T ROAS goal? Because Meta or Google only gives me maybe 1% of the credit. So I have to keep the threshold at 1%. Think about this. You want a 400% ROAS as an example. Your standard shopping campaign only gets 25% of its target. You have to give it a 100% goal.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna take, if it's only gonna get 1/4 the credit, you have to give it 1/4 the goal.
Yeah.
Simple mathematics.
Sense to me. Simple math. Andresp. I'm going to pronounce this every time slightly different. In Meta, what ad set and lots of ads should I wear? The campaign starts with all ads from scratch. I'm concerned the ad is later and they don't seem to have a fair opportunity. Thanks.
Yeah, I've been starting with them all from scratch. I have a new launch today with a veneer company, and I'm holding off until Monday because we're missing 2 pieces of creative. So I'm only launching new campaigns with all, because as soon as you give it as many as we can. Like if we're like, hey, we're a couple days and we'll have these. I'm like, then I'm waiting a couple days. If it's like 2 months out, we'll launch now. But if I can get those creatives sooner, I will. Yeah. I'm so sorry, everyone. Let's do one more, and I do have to run. Sorry.
Well, let's see. Let's pick one big one here. What's up? 33 big money.
Right.
Ken Lyons.
Oh, quick Shopify or WooCommerce for conversions. Shopify. Sorry. Shopify. Okay, that's cool. All right.
Let's see. Quick thank you. Implemented advice from last week. Recampaigns 60 SKUs. Now I have 3 campaigns. Standard 130 ROAS, bid cap 1.5, 2 PMax feed only, 350 T ROAS, remarkable brand, and this is a 2-parter.
PMax feed only 510 T ROAS brand. Nice. Seems to be working great so far for 5 days. Wish us luck. Nailed it. I would agree. Your aggressive campaigns have aggressive spend, aggressive targeting. The PMax is just going to be the regurgitation of everything that happened. Keep it at a really high spend so it doesn't overspend in order to accumulate all that 0.99 ROAS that Google likes to give it. Jerks.
Keep going. All right, Ken Lyons. We'll see what's happening next week.
Yeah.
And John Moran's disciple showed up. So there you go. Let's end on that. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, John Moran, for being John Moran, and for everyone coming to the Ad Lab, where we're cooking up some chaos in the conversion kitchen. I don't even know what that is.
In the meth lab.
In the meth lab.
I'm still going to call it the meth lab.
It's the meth lab.
I think I'm on drugs.
It's absolutely. It's a Friday. Why not? Drug day. All right. We'll talk to you next week. Same channel, 2:30 Eastern. See ya.
Bye, everybody.